Good evening to you. Really, thank you so much for taking up this time to engage us on retirement planning and specifically on the topic start early, retire better.
Great to have you today.
Please kindly give us your perspective about retirement planning to our listeners. We'd like to get your perspective about it. We did hear from Owen. Maybe we would also love to hear your perspective about it.
Thank you, Brenda, and good evening, listeners. This evening, today we're having a very interesting conversation about retirement. Most of times, you find there's a saying which says that even a good dancer has to leave the stage. If you don't leave the stage, most times you find the way people you started, the energy you started with, the new strokes, the new dancing styles you began with, at the end you find you no longer can sustain that. So it's really important that you know there's a time when it's going to reach that you no longer have that energy that you used to have when you're still young. As you've seen, even when you grow up, you find things are changing, even the working environment that we are in, and also what is surrounding us. So that's why it is important to plan when you're no longer going to have that energy to continue working the way we are. So that's how in retirement planning kicks in. Retirement planning simply means that you need to plan to have long-term view of where you're going to be in the next years, whether 10 years, whether 15 years, according to your goals that you've set. So it's very important that you have long-term financial goals that you've set aside on what you're going to have that forecast, a long-term view of how you're going to be. So when you're waking up early in the morning, you're thinking, you're waking up in the mirror, you're thinking, am I the same person that I'm going to see in the next 20 years? Most times, of
Mhm.
course, now, we've had cosmetics, people do makeup and the rest. But when you wake up in the morning and you look yourself in the mirror, is it the same person that you see the last 10 years? Definitely you've changed. And as you grow old, definitely even gray hair starts coming in. I know nowadays there are cosmetics, dyes, and all that. But the question should be, where is it going to take you in the next years? And of course, history has told us when you see your parents now, you go home, people that use call uncles, and now you see they are already old. Now you're the one who is called uncle or auntie. Just know that retirement is just kicking in. So, in a nutshell, retirement is looking at the holistic and long-term view of what is going to happen in the next few years, and it drives us to the question and the conversation on what is going to happen. Many things change over the years. Nowadays, you see the person that you are celebrating the birthday for is now already old, is now talking. And even young kids, you see how they even grow so fast. But the question is, what is going to happen? You study, you're in kindergarten, you reach high school, you're in university, and people start celebrating you. Yes, you brought a degree. Welcome to the world. Next steps, you start looking for a job. You hit the streets. You start working. The moment you start working like this, the HR in your organization starts planning. When are you going to retire? And it's very obvious that there's a defined age, either in the working environment, in the regulation, and even at government level, where there's a mark that at 60 you're no longer going to work. Sometimes we force ourselves that we're energetic, but the body eventually tells you that if you don't stop, I'm going to break down. So that's why it is important and necessary that you must have a long-term view of what steps are you going to take to ensure that the kind of life that you want or you're living now, if you haven't achieved it, you're going to continue living that kind of life when you're no longer working. If you've already started working, definitely that work starts when you finish school. If you didn't get a chance to go through school, definitely you started working early, but there's going to be a time when you no longer are going to continue having that energy to work. So that's what called for that holistic topic called retirement planning that we're discussing this evening.
Wow, thank you so much for the insights, Darius. From your talk, I think my take home on on your submission is, in most cases, as young people, we are always focused on tomorrow. I mean, today. I mean, yeah, if as long as today is done, we now consider looking at tomorrow when tomorrow comes. But I think this by the end of this discussion, we shall be in position to actually understand the importance of considering tomorrow while we are still strong. Thank you, Darius, thank you, Darius, for that submission. So next, I think our listeners would love to understand, as we are talking about getting to start working and then getting to learn how to start planning for their retirement. Someone would love to know, how much do I really have to consider for saving? Do I have to just wake up and say, I'm just going to save 1% or 2% or 10%? Please, Darius, please guide us on what percentage of my income, if I'm to say, should I aim to save each month for my retirement in case I'm a formal worker or informal? I guess you will cater for the informal and the formal employed people.
Yeah,
Thank you,
fantastic.
Darius.
Thanks, Brenda. I think before we go into the formula that has worked for different people, we must look at this rule. Most of the time, look at an example when you finish school and you start working. There are quite of the needs or necessities that are around you. You think, one, I need to open a bank account, I need to start saving. What are you saving for? You're saving for a piece of land, you're saving, you want to buy a car, you're saving that maybe you want to buy something, a phone, you want to have a family. All those are the necessities that are around you. But what you forget is that I need to save for when I no longer have the energy to work. The formula that has worked for people who have a long-term view is that one moment you the same way you go to open a bank account that you need to start saving, you should open what we call a retirement account. So that retirement account, if whichever portion that you have, whether it is 20,000, whether it is 5,000, you're dropping it into a retirement account. And we're going to dive into the conversation how it's going to grow eventually. But most of the times, of course, when we already caught up we wake up and we see we have nothing that is retirement. Most of the time, you find people what they have in their account and their name is the amount that is within NSSF. Probably even because of the demands that are surrounding us, you haven't had a chance to save and buy a plot of land and maybe buy a car that you desire, build a house, have a farm, and have all those assets. And what you have in your name is the only account that you have with NSSF. So the question should be, how do I start saving? Most of the times, if you get the first check or maybe like get first employment, what you're looking at is my take home. But remember, there's that post saving, which says you save 5% and 10%. Definitely, you must think that by the time globally there was a mandatory saving, the government thought it wise that there's a point where these people are going to be a burden to us. So for people who are working, let's force them to save. So that's why at any point they say, as long as an employer is employing more than 5, which has now increased even if we have 1 employee, they must mandatorily be forced to save with NSSF. But over the years, surprisingly, even if you're saving small as the salary is growing, you will see your pension account growing all the time. I think of recent people are excited to see how much the statement has grown and how much I have and how much interest that I have because it's only saving. Other times, the money that you took home, you've already consumed it. So it's important for us at Octagon, what you advise is that you need to have a savings account. The way you have a savings account, you must also have what we call a retirement account. And we're going to discuss different options. But what has worked for people generally is to ensure that if you're earning, that is 100% of your earning, ensure that every month 50% of your earning goes into upkeep. Upkeep, you have demands that are around you, rent, you have other demands, housing, and the rest. Have 30% to cater for your expenses and 20% to be your saving. So that is 50, 30, and 20. But the formula doesn't work for everyone. There's some people who know that they have other sources of income. I can save 50%, and then the 30% and 20% go into the expenses. Maybe I'm still staying at home. That means I can even extend, and I save up to 70%. So definitely, it looks at what are the demands that are around you, but what is important is that you must ensure that you save more than 20% of your monthly earning that you can have a fallback position, and that will be a build up towards your retirement when you're going to no longer have that job or what you consider as your retirement package that will pay. And we're going to look at definitely how do you determine that this money is sufficient to continue catering for my retirement when I'm no longer working. So it's important that you have a formula that works for you and which you can change over time whenever you see that the sources of income, the seven, we usually say the seven sources of income. The way Kampala has seven hills, we also must have seven sources of income. Know that this income that I'm having alone is not enough. If I'm having a gig on the side, maybe I'm not formally employed. How do I ensure that I also become the same people who have like the same people who have salary and also have the same kind of formula and they save? Because people who are in employment probably they have a chance and someone is saving for them on themselves by force. But for me, how do I do the saving? So it's kind of a conversation that you need to have with yourself and you say, what formula works for me? And definitely now, what also is required is the self-discipline to ensure that you stick to that formula and you continue saving.
Wow, thank you so much, Darius, for that. Guys, I think we picked it so clearly. We need a saving. We need a formula for saving. You need to consider the 20. You need to consider the 30. You need to consider the 50%. Much as you're taking up the salary, you're always thinking, let me just spare what has been. You spend a lot of the money. You spend a lot of the percentage of your money, and then you keep the balance as saving. I think from this discussion now we get to learn that at least the least one needs to consider is like a 20% for their retirement saving. Thank you, Darius Abba, for that submission. I would love maybe Owen, do you have another perspective about why do you have another perspective about the percentage of one's income of how much they should save per month?
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. Darius has has expounded on it, and the key thing around retirement planning and how much you need to save is that our plans may be different because of the situations we are in today, our circumstances, our levels of income today, they are varying. So it means everyone should then tailor as they forecast how much they need in retirement, then determine part of that income that they're earning today so that they set it aside. And our situations will continue varying. And again, our needs in retirement will vary. So we need to consider the needs that we shall have in retirement, because at some point I may have a home, another member or person does not have a home. So the kind of saving that is required so that we all meet the need of housing in retirement will vary. So it's important that we all consider our situations and then plan accordingly, put aside what we will be and what will enable us to achieve our different goals. Back to you, Brenda.
Thank you, Owen. Maybe just to add on
Maybe.
that. Sorry, Darius. Go ahead.
Yeah, just like that was quite interesting from Owen. I just wanted to do a rejoiner. You know, most of the times what we've seen why people don't save is basically what we call lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation, it means that you're living because other people are living. Someone has bought a new dress, you're like, no, why can't I do the same? Someone has put a new hairstyle, you're like, no, I must do the same. So definitely one must learn to run their own race. So if you don't have that rat race, it's okay to buy a plot of land and you're not owning a car. It's okay to begin with a plot of land, then to buy a car. And as long as you have a plan that you stick to it and you achieve what you want, because desires, as Owen has mentioned, are totally different. But what is important is to ensure that you stick to your plan and you achieve what you want in a timely manner that you need. Definitely, desires will be different, but we must ensure that we stick to our plan and eventually you achieve what you desired to achieve.
Okay, that is amazing. Thank you so much for the addition, Darius. I Earlier, I wanted to have Owen engage us on the types of retirement accounts. I mean, what benefits of different retirement accounts, or even what are some of the retirement accounts that one needs to consider as they're thinking about retirement planning? To you, Owen.
Thank you, Brenda. There are different accounts that an individual can set up, especially as they look at the revenue streams that will be able to meet their needs in the future. A common one we see is situations where an employer has opened as a pension scheme for their employees, and they find that by that they are already catering, they're already providing a platform for the employees to save for their retirement. So one option is the accounts under employer sponsored schemes. We have few employers that have set up additional schemes for their employees, and these few employers are adding a benefit on top of NSSF. Larry has pointed out that NSSF, to some extent, it's a mandatory saving. So we have few employers that have come on board and provided additional benefits for their staff. And that means that on top of the 5% that is contributed to NSSF and the 5% deduction and the 10% benefit that an employer contributes for their staff, then employees are able to get additional accounts under voluntary schemes, and which could fall under the standalone schemes or the umbrella schemes, which we shall break down further. Another account which will be key, especially as an individual plans for retirement, is individual pension plan. And all these accounts that we are setting up, they should lead us towards achieving an income replacement ratio of at least 70%. And this 70% is out of different studies that have identified that for you to be able to maintain your lifestyle today during retirement, then you need to be able to replace at least up to 70% of that income that you're earning today out of the different sources of income in the future in retirement. And that is why NSF, we have a 15%, that is 5% employee and 10 of the employer. Then the different voluntary schemes add some contribution, and the average in the industry, employers are contributing 5%, while if employees are contributing 5%, while employers are contributing an 8%. That takes us to 27% out of what we are saving in NSSF and what we are saving in the voluntary scheme set up by employers. But there is a big gap, and we need to reach the minimum of 70% so that we are able to replace our income in retirement. And that takes us to an additional account of an individual pension plan. Over and above the NSSF and what you're contributing under the voluntary schemes, are you able to consider an individual pension plan, which may give you flexibility, but again, it's an avenue for you to be able to save with a particular goal that you have income in retirement. And the good thing about individual pension plans is that you will be able to now determine how much you want to save on your own. Remember, under the scheme set up by the employer, it's determined by the different HR policies, how much you will save and how much the employer will add towards your savings. We are now at 27, and that is the NSSF and the employee and what we get under the other voluntary schemes. But then we also have the option of the income drawdowns, because we are looking at what accounts can we have in the future in retirement so that we are able to get income out of them. Then as we accumulate savings as individuals in the different schemes and the different savings platforms, we must consider the other options that will give us regular incomes. And the key thing of incomes about incomes in retirement is how regular are they? They may not be as regular as they are today when you are working, or if it's self-employed, out of the revenue streams that you were earning an income out of today. And that's why you need to set up an income drawdown plan that enables you to get income out of to get in form of, it comes like a salary out of the income, investment income. Then you're able to be paid either annually, biannually, quarterly, or monthly, based on how you decide, depending on the situations that you will be having. And another option is through the insurance companies, which provide opportunities for annuities, whereby you can still get the incomes from, you can still get income in form of salaries, just the same way you could have been getting when you were under employment. Those are some of the different accounts that a member, an individual can consider in retirement, and they will spread into the other investment options like the collective investment schemes, such as the unit trusts. Brenda?
Thank you, Owen. I have been keen with the retirement accounts that you've been taking us through. Probably just maybe to ask a simple breakdown still about maybe the benefits of these retirement accounts. If you would make just the benefits much more clear by stating, say, 3 or 4, 5 of the benefits. What are some of the strategic benefits of these retirement accounts? As I'm choosing a retirement account for my savings for retirement, what are some of the key benefits that I should expect as I go about this?
Okay, thank you, Brenda. A key thing to consider when deciding on the retirement accounts is, one, is flexibility. How flexible are these options that you have for retirement? For example, the employer-sponsored schemes. If you have an account, then you, based on the regulations in Uganda, you'll only access those benefits when you're out of service. That means that although we are eyeing the safety in retirement, the element of flexibility has been lost, because you can only utilize those funds when you're out of service. So how flexible are the options that we are choosing? You look at the annuities, which you get with insurance companies. You also lose flexibility, because then you enter into a contract with an insurance company. Out of the income that you have today, you give them your funds, they're investing, and they're able to promise you a benefit for the rest of your life. And you see, you cannot exit such a contract and until the point when you've passed away. You find that another option under the which is income drawdown, gives you that much needed flexibility, such that in retirement you need that flexibility, so that when you need those funds, you should be able to access. If you need an increase, if you need a reduction, maybe you have additional sources of income at any particular time, then now you need that to compare between the annuities and the income drawdowns. That was on flexibility, and then whether the amount that you saved is earning you more interest or not. I will still take us back to the income drawdowns and annuities, whereby for the annuities, you are determining an amount today, which will be paid by the insurance company for the rest of your life. But for the income drawdown, you find that the money you deposited with the provider today, for example, Octagon, we have Octagon Income Drawdown Fund, whereby once you deposit those funds with Octagon, they are being saved, you are getting interest annually, and you are able to draw down that fund such that you are being paid out of the income that is being earned out of the investments. Then you are able to sustain the income that you're getting out of this option. And another area is which you need to consider out of this is the individual pension plans, and that come out of where the different sources that you're having today. How many sources of income are you having today? If you're only depending on employment, then you may be limited in terms of the options that you can consider out of the list that I pointed out earlier. But if you have different sources of income, then you can again spread out as you focus on where you'll get more income in retirement. Brenda?
Thank you, Owen. I keep tracking the number of listeners on the in the audience. Kindly, I would love to take us back through who the speakers we are interacting with, for the sake of the people that have joined us in listening in. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining in this discussion about retirement planning with Octagon Uganda. Our topic today, once again, is Start Early, Retire Better. And in the discussion today, we are having Darius Kishahoniwaha and Owen Jacob Ebichinji. Maybe to take us through the profiles about our guest speakers of the day on the topic today. Darius Kishahoniwaha is the Chief Executive Officer of Octagon Uganda Limited, and Octagon Uganda Limited is a subsidiary of Octagon Africa Group, which is the leading provider of pension administration and insurance brokerage services. We understand that under Darius's leadership, Octagon Uganda has secured the country's largest pension market share and successfully expanded services to underserved markets, including the informal sectors. On the other hand, our other guest speaker is Owen Jacob Ebichinji. Owen is a certified trustee under the Trustee Development Program in Kenya by the College of Insurance in Nairobi. And with his decade of expertise in pensions and retirement benefits, he has worked with the leading institutions, including Octagon Uganda Limited, Octagon Pension Services Limited, and MTC Trust and Corporate Services Limited. His expertise spans pensions administration, corporate trusteeship, retirement benefits, consultancy, client relationship management, and business development. He is currently serving as a client relationship manager at Octagon Uganda. So, dear listeners, we understand that this topic that we are having in our webinar today is led by experts. So I hope we are getting the right information and we'll be able to learn something at the end of this webinar. Pushing ahead, I would love to have Darius taking us through. I happen to understand that most of the listeners on this call or on this webinar are in the age that would consider retirement planning. But I think maybe because of less knowledge about it and less information about it, people have actually taken it for granted. So in this case, maybe Darius can take us through how starting to save early can sorry about that. And Darius can actually take us through how starting to save early can significantly impact overall retirement savings through the compound growth. You can actually expound more on what compound interest work is, how important it is for retirement savings, and how significant it is as an overall. To you, Darius.
Thank you, Brenda. And once again, it's a pleasure to host our dear listeners and members on this call. We are really excited that you've joined our first webinar, and quite a number of series of webinars will be coming so that we can continue the discussion about retirement. Compounding interest, I think in a nutshell, without going through the mathematics behind it, is basically looking at inflation. So compounding interest, you're trying to see how do I ensure that tomorrow's inflation, I'm above tomorrow's inflation. So look at the fuel that you're buying for your car. If you go to the supermarket and you're going to buy bread, I think that's a daily necessity for home. Sugar, the price of sugar last year or the other 2 years is not the same price today. The price of fuel, when last month or the beginning of the year, it's always changing. So what's the driver for that? So the question should be, if today I'm earning whichever I'm earning, and every day I'm spending this much going to work, every day I'm spending this much on utilities, excuse me, the prices next year are going to change. How about after 5 years? How about after 10 years? So how do I capture? That means I have to work more and I get more money. So for you to ensure that you fight against that inflation, over and above, of course, what the government is doing, the monetary policies they're putting in place to ensure that inflation remains stable. For you, as a person, what are you doing about inflation? So that's how the saving comes in. Say, I must save more today to ensure that by the time when tomorrow I go to buy bread and the price now is one loaf is 10,000, then I have that 10,000. So how am I going to have that 10,000? That means that the 10,000 that I have today, I should invest it somewhere, and tomorrow it will be 15,000. So by the time when I'm buying bread, and bread is 12K, I can buy bread at 12K, and I remain with a balance of 3,000. 3,000 can help you buy another thing. Otherwise, you only have 12,000, and you don't have to buy a broadband. So that's how the question of compounding interest kicks in. That if I save 100,000, the same 100,000 today should not be the same as 100,000 next year. So that amount of money that you've saved today should be able to be invested in different vehicles that Owen has mentioned. that amount will give me interest. That interest will be added on 100,000, and at the end of the year, I would have 100,000 plus the interest of 10%, 10%, that is 10,000. So that would mean that I have 110,000. That 110,000 is again going to be invested. There will be another interest of 10%. That will be 100, and that's 10% of 110. That will be 11,000. It is added on 110. Now the other year you'll have 121,000. So there you're compounding your money. So which means by the time you buy something that was buying 100,000, next year it is 110. You still have some balance to buy some other things. So there you're living above the curve. So that's in a nutshell what it means by compounding interest. If you understand the game of compounding interest, it means that for you, you're already living ahead to ensure that there's growth in your money, so that you don't remain the same amount. Definitely, you can even look at the rent. Rent annually, your landlord, if you're not owning a house now, will always increase by either 10% or 20%, and there will be people who are paying. So maybe that means if you're staying whatever you're staying, that means you're going to be pushed away. Before you know it, you're staying in Ginger. Before you know it, you're staying in areas of Mpigi. So you're being pushed away from the city because you can't afford. But if you've invested, either you have money to buy your own house and you have now necessities, or you can continue renting and you have other assets and you're able to match up with the rent rates that are in the market. So compounding interest simply means that I must live ahead of the curve and then ensure that the money that I have today, if I have it in the pocket, tomorrow it should not be the same. That's why other assets have come. But if I have the money seated on the account and you want to continue now going on the up, I see 1 million and then I sleep, I have 1 million. There you're not adding any value to you. So you must ensure that at the end of the month, if you had 1 million, it has added something. But if you keep it in the bank or you keep it under the mattress and you continue having that same amount, just know you're sitting on a time bomb.
Okay, thank you. Darius, I'm just laughing at that because I know most of us, I'll include myself, have this tendency of keeping the money and just claiming I'll have it saved, I'll have it saved, I'll have it saved. So in this discussion and under your submission, we get to now understand that it's actually better to keep the income you have, but make sure that it increases or it multiplies as time goes on, because anyway the economy doesn't stay constant. If I got it right, I think that is what I picked out from the submission. Thank you, Darius. Maybe just to add on that, what are some of the investment strategies, best for young savers versus those nearing their retirement? We understand you've been talking about compound growth and then compound and how compounding interest how it works. What are some of the investment strategies that you would recommend for young savers? Because right now the young the young adults actually now need to learn and adapt to saving for their retirement. What are some of those investment strategies that you would recommend for the young savers versus those nearing their retirement? Are they supposed to keep the same scheme, or do they have to differ in this investment strategies? Back to you, Darius.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a quite interesting conversation. When you say we are young and others are old, but not knowing you're going to cross the line. Yeah, what is usually interesting is that definitely, I think, as the opening remarks, that we are all going to get old. It's just a matter of time, and of which the time is always ticking. So you have a chance when you're still young because you're so energetic. You can wake up at 5. You can wake up at 4. The only difference between young people and old people don't sleep at night. Usually they can wake up at 3 and they lose sleep until morning. For those who have old people, they will always tell you stories that they didn't sleep yesterday. So you're wondering what's the problem. But for you, you can always sleep and wake up early. You can wake up early and you go to the market, and even sleep late and still wake up early. But for when you grow old, definitely the body comes in. No wonder that's why you see there are a lot of gyms in town, spas and all that, because you're trying to revamp yourself. So when you have this opportunity when you're still young, to ensure that you save as much as you can, you take much risks as you can. You can travel from wherever you are in the night and again travel. But if you're already old, you can't have that energy to travel. So when you're still young, you have a chance of taking much risk as possible. And the kind of money that you're saving, because if you do business and you fail, you still have a chance. If you've done business and all your savings and your 50 years, remember all that money you saved it for the 30 years that you worked. You no longer have that other 30 years to get the same salary with a job market that is kicking out because Gen Z's alphas are coming on board to push you out of office. They're wondering why are you still working. So it's important that when you're still young, you take chances, you take as much risk. Do it and fail, and you'll get one business that you're perfect on it. If you're looking for a career, go to many careers as you can and do many jobs as you can, but you'll get one thing that is passionate to you and you like, and you concentrate on that. And that's why you see people who have done business most of the time. You find someone does one business, they're selling iron sheets, they're selling, and they do it for the whole of their life. Maybe they have started other things and they have thought that this one that I'm doing is something that I like and I'll continue doing. So it's the same thing when you're in profession. And for profession, we are guided. You become an accountant, you become a professional, you become a lawyer, and in that line, you become a real professional and you continue earning because you've been guided that that's what you're going to do. It's very rare to find a doctor changes to be a lawyer because they have been trained. And that's a chance that we have for us who are in employment. So back to the question is, when you're still young, you must save in things that you need to do equities, those which things that you can take risk on, do as many businesses as you can. So same applies when you're still young. You must ensure that you continue saving. The best way to save is when you get your first paycheck. Ensure that you put some money aside that you save for that retirement for long term. If you find you have an employer who's saving for you, do additional voluntary contribution. You'll be surprised how much you'll have. So imagine if you're going to, especially nowadays, there are many outrages. E-shopping, you shop something, you buy from China and you've never seen it, you find they brought you something that you didn't like, that money is gone. You go to the supermarket, you keep shopping, buying things, if you look at your wardrobe, things that you've never thought you even wear again, that money is gone. So who is benefiting? The one who is the seller. And for you, that money is gone. You buy how many shoes and you find you only wear two, you like two over two that you like, and you take pictures. If you want to look at that, look at the pictures you've taken. There's some other shoes or maybe a shirt that you put and you've never even taken a picture of it. That money is already gone. So it's important that you maximize on the saving when you're still young. So at the time when you're old, you're able to have that money that you already saved because with the accumulation. Definitely when you're nearing retirement, you're catching up with age. So that's why it is advisable that you look at how much you've saved, and if you feel that you've lost the time, then now start catching up. You need to multiply the energy. Now, for you to know how much you need to save, look at your age. I don't know how many people are on the call.
We have 31.
What's your date of birth and what's your current age? Don't mention it because people here will whisper to other people. So if you're 20, you're 30, just get your number, just write it down. And then you know how much am I earning now? Just you know how much you're earning, wherever you're earning, whether 20 million, whether 30, whether 1, whether 4. And definitely that money will grow as you experience and the rest. So just know, when do you want to retire? Do you want to retire at 40? Do you want to retire at 60? Normally, you want to retire until you break down. I mean, to work until you break down. Or you want to retire early. There's some people want to retire at 30 and they do their own thing. So what's the age? So if it is 40, just know you're going to retire at 40. But how many years do you want to live after 40? Good enough, the age, what's called the lifespan, the life expectancy has increased for Uganda. So if you're 40 and you want to live for more 40 years, that means you're going to live for more 40 years and you die at 80. So you get the salary that you're earning now, multiplied by a number of years you want to live after retirement. So if you multiply by that amount, of course, now there's a component of gross interest rate annually. Let's leave that one and you divide it by your current age. That would mean that that's the amount that you need in retirement monthly. But now, for you to increase that, that will mean that you need to increase the current salary that you're earning now. If you're not earning salary, the current income that you're getting from your business sources. You know, there's some people who say, yeah, you want to buy other assets, buy land, build a house and get rentals, whichever income that you're getting, that you're trying to maximize the sources of income, which are other factors that can affect. But where you have money that is more near to you, because if you're old and you have a plot of land or you have a house, probably even your family might stop you from selling it. But if you got your money and you put it in the assets, you put it in unit trust, that money will always come to your account. So you must have those 7 sources of income. You know, I have property, I have land, but I have something that is liquid. So when you say today we need to take it to the hospital, we don't now start forming for you a WhatsApp group to source for you to get to the hospital. If the question was, if you're driving and you're in that jam and you break down engine, do you call the mechanic or you go in the account? So those are kind of emergency funds that you need to do other than causing a crisis in the family group because there's something that has happened. So it's important that you save as much as possible. And usually the formula is, if I'm earning 1 month salary, let me starve for 6 months. And I save salary for 6 months. That is 6 million. So that's 6 million. If in case the company says that I'm restructuring or you no longer have a job, you can live 6 months and people are seeing you moving around and they think you're still working. Kumbe you are living in 6 months. Within 6 months you can get a job, even 1 year. So you can even stretch and you go to 1 year. You know, I've saved 10 million. If you're earning more and you save the equivalent of that, that means you can even live 1 year and still within your means, and people don't know that you lost your job. People have families. Once you leave the job like this, then now we start putting new order in the house. There's no more bread, no more sugar. People know that you've already lost a job. So that's why it is important that when you're saving, you use the years when you're still young to continue saving. And once you're already old, definitely you're catching up with your retirement, which is not good. Definitely on our side, professionally, when we get that money, we start looking at how many people are saving and they are young, and we allocate that money in equities because there is a good return in dividends. We look at people who are old, that money we invest it in treasury bills and bonds. We know in the next 2 years they're going to receive their money. That's what happens in the background. But for you, on your side, the formula that you have is only to continue saving and get more sources of income.
Wow, that is really so exciting. Thank you so much, Darius, for that submission. I hope we are able to pick out a lot. Maybe getting back to Owen, Darius has been talking about the need to consider the current days that one is living, and also consider the age as one is aging up, the future to come in anyway. A lot of things keep changing. Your lifestyle, your social, the emotional and social aspects keep changing. So Owen maybe can take us through discuss with us the emotional and social aspects of retirement and the importance of planning for activities and community involvement. Now that Darius gave us how things start changing, if one didn't actually consider planning for their retirement, things start depreciating in a home, and before you know it, people are so picky with everything. They get annoyed. Everything just pisses them off just because maybe money is less. They are no longer earning. So Owen, please take us through how one needs to actually handle the emotional and the social aspects of their retirement, and how important it is for them to plan for such incidences in the future.
Thank you, Brenda. And lifestyle, I'll speak through the different age milestones for retirement planning, then speak through the different lifestyle changes that come in, especially with retirement. One, I'll break it down into 5, where we have the early earning years, and that is in the ages of 20 to 30. And find these are group or individuals that have just started saving, even though in small amounts because of the income that they are getting. And the intention is that this group will take advantage of the available opportunities, whether they are circles, savings groups, mobile money savings, or individual retirement schemes that are approved by the regulator. And key here is financial discipline, because these are groups that have started earning income. They've just completed the studies. If informal, they've picked up from in form of apprenticeship, and now they're earning some income. So the key thing to note here is financial discipline, to ensure that they're able to separate business money from personal money. And this to speak to the needs that they have in that age. Some of them may still be living with their parents. So you find that the important uh, thing to note here is financial discipline, so that they're able to set aside some of the money out that they are earning, so that they start planning for their retirement. And key area here is to ensure that they are purchasing basic health and life insurance to reduce future risks. And this speaks to the compounding effect, because should you start at 20, then you're better off than an individual who will start at 30, 40, or even those who start late at 50. We also have a second age category of 30 to 40, and this speaks to growth years, whereby now the individuals in this category look at increasing contributions. At the early earning ages, they started and they were saving only small amounts. Now, between age 30 to 40, then they are considering increasing contributions, opening up more, taking up more options of saving, if they are personal retirement schemes, unit trust, circle retirement products, because this group is more informed. And the intention here is that they diversify the income sources out of they diversify the income sources out of their current earnings, whether they can do some small investments in land, rental units, or side businesses. And key aspect for this group is ensuring that they have an emergency fund, because most of the time, out of the savings, the individuals tend to dip into those retirement savings when they have financial shocks. And you find that then they start consuming what they had started building in the ages of 20 to 30. That brings us next to the consolidation years, and this is advanced at between age 40 to 50. And the intention here is that commitment is key, whether it is fixing a percentage of the incomes for retirement, whether you now an individual considers reinvestment in low risk assets, because they are more informed and they are able to consider if there are treasury bills, bonds, land, then they are able to expand on what they have been investing in, but then considering the risk, so that they only go for low risk assets. Key area here is looking at housing between age 40 to 50. This is where an individual needs to look at whether they have a home. If not, then they need to ensure that they start working on having a home before they go to the next stage, which will be 50 to 60. And here, succession planning comes in case of any unexpected disruptions on the plan, on what they are saving. Then pre-retirement years. Most organizations provide for retirement age of 60, and so pre-retirement years fall between 50 to 60, because here this time it's imminent that an individual is moving into retirement, and now other than focusing on the investment, they change to capital preservation, so that then whatever they've accumulated in the three phases, that was early growth, then the early earning, the growth years, consolidation years up to 50, then they need to preserve it so that they're able to get an income out of this for the longer term, and that as they move to retirement. At this stage, it's important to minimize debt, which comes with lifestyle changes, with the kind of lifestyle that they want to have in retirement, because in the first 3 years, the individuals are prone to taking up debt to meet some needs, which are key in those stages. But as they move towards retirement, then it's important that as an individual, you minimize the debt and avoid risky ventures, because then what you've saved all the years, up to age 50, you can lose it between the age of 50 to 60, and then you have nothing to live on in retirement when you hit 60. It's important for individuals to consider annuity products or other options that give regular incomes and which are programmed in nature, because an individual has been used to getting an income up to age 50, but now they're looking at going to retirement where it may not be as regular as it was in the earlier stages of life. So it's important that they lock in the products that we mentioned about. We talked about income drawdown, we talked about annuities. This is the time to consider them so that you start locking in regular incomes that you will get in retirement. And when you move to the last stage, and that is retirement, that is 60 plus and above, that speaks to now taking advantage or utilizing. How do you utilize these funds that you've saved over the years? You saved in a scheme, then you are now drawing that accumulated saving. But we've seen the life expectancy go up to over 63 years. That means that after retirement, members or individuals are living longer. And if you have not accumulated much, then you have nothing to live on. And so your needs become a challenge in that age. And that's why it's important that then as you draw the savings, you consider those opportunities that give you regular income, but for the long term, so that you do not consume all your savings at a go and then have issues in retirement. Then it's important to prioritize health, and this comes in especially as we near retirement. It's important that we prioritize health, the medical checkups, having the insurance cover, the wellness, engagements with the community, the family. As we were working before we attained retirement, we find that individuals did not have much time for family. But now, as you move towards retirement, you need family, you need the social life, because they will be the closest to you. Because those you are working with during the earlier years, then you may even have lost contacts by then. So it's important that during that time, then the individual strengthen the family and continue and community relationships. The individuals can also consider joining retirement associations, groups in the society, so that then they are engaged. As we sum up the lifestyle changes that come with retirement, another key area is time management, because now as individuals are not in their regular work that they were involved in the earlier years, then now they have the time. But what do you do with this time? And that speaks to the daily routines. So it's important that then the individuals avoid boredom by engaging in hobbies, that thing that you could not do when you are working. You have the time, and then you can also engage in them, and also the community works and mentoring the younger ones who have not yet attained retirement. Brenda, I've walked through the changes in the different stages as retirement planning.
Wow, thank you so very much for that key insights that you've given us, Owen. Because of time, I'll continue just letting know our listeners that for more information about Octagon Uganda Limited, just follow us on our social media handles on X, which is former Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. All through we use Octagon Uganda. Go like, follow, and make your inquiries for anything that you'd like to know about Octagon Uganda for your pensions and insurance services. Just get to our website and then get more information as needed. Maybe to summarize up before we go to find out if the audience or the listeners have something to ask, Darius will kindly briefly give us. Susan Akidi says she requests for the recordings. I think we will have that catered for. If I happen to go through the comments, Leila earlier said she requested a repeat on the 6-month statement. Susan Akidi requests for the recordings at the end of it all. I have taken note of all your requests, and because of time, we will have it sorted at the end of it all. We'll share the recording, and for more information in the case of Leila, we will have to share our social media platforms, and we'll also refer you to the rightful person to give you the information in details. Darius, you'll take us briefly through the tools and the resources that can help us track our retirement savings progress. How does one track their retirement savings progress? Yes, you mentioned we have to keep saving, at least have a portion of or a percentage of our salary every time we get an earning. So then how do I track, because there is a tendency of emergencies? How do I track whether it's growing or it's constant or it's actually depreciating? I think you'll briefly give us insights on that, and we'll have to get some comments or questions from the audience and finalize on this particular webinar. Back to you, Darius.
Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, I think in relation quickly, maybe for Leila, I think Leila was mentioning about the 6-month statement. We're trying to say that as you're saving, you must ensure that you have an emergency equivalent to your 6-month salary. Such in case there is any breakdown, COVID has come, there's any thing that can put a life to a stop, then you already have your 6-month equivalent of salary. So you can even remain at home when you're still paying yourself. So that's what is important, that you ensure that at minimum you save up to 6 months somewhere where you can always have equivalent of your salary, and you can build that gradually. You don't have to hurt yourself. Get an account, and today you're saving 200,000, you're saving 500, until you can, by step, you see when you're building 1 month salary, 2 month salary, and it's somewhere. So you continue building on that before you know it has gone to a significant amount, and you leave that constant as you build now to accumulate other kind of assets that you would want to have in life. Yeah, I think, Brenda, you asked something. How do you track your kind of saving? Definitely, I think, as I mentioned, it is really the habit. You must create discipline. Whether you've saved 1 billion, even if they give you 1 billion, I know you have a zillion kind of ideas in your head. You can't, it will be utilized within 1 month, 6 months. So it's important that you have discipline. That's why they usually say most people who are very wealthy, they are stingy, because they know how hard it is to gain that money. If you find most of the times you're losing out that money, just know it's coming from one pocket to another one, and it's getting out from the other pocket. So it's important that you continue supporting your lifestyle, but also you have that financial discipline. When you have that financial discipline, you'll see your balance sheet growing year by year. You've added one asset, you've added another one, and when you ask something that is in your name, in your personal called Leila Limited, you have something that you can look up to and you say, at least I've saved something. In addition to that, definitely, you also have other avenues. If you have a company that is saving for you, that add an additional voluntary contribution, that is a way you can't access it until maybe you exit employment. If there's an option for NSSF, add an additional contribution, small. If you have a unit trust, open one at Octagon. We have Octagon Center Savings Plan. You see how it is growing. There are many unit trusts in the market. If you open those different accounts, definitely as a member, you're trying to fight against inflation, so that the money doesn't keep on your account, doesn't keep on your mobile money account. Because if it remains there, you're always prone to eat it, or maybe send it someone. But if someone sends you money and you don't have mobile money, and request for money and you don't have mobile money on your account, you say, yeah, I don't have at the moment. But if it was there, probably you can send the whole amount. But if it was an investment, it becomes a little bit harder to access it. So always remain with the amount that can always there to help you keep going. But the money that you don't need at the moment, you keep it somewhere, and it grows interest, so that you can fight that lifestyle audit inflation.
Thank you, Darius. I'm so excited with what is happening in the chat. A comment from Betty says, this is really informative. Thank you. I think we will have more of this coming up, so people can get more information about retirement and insurance services from Octagon Uganda Limited. I do not know if we have anyone that can raise their hand from the audience to ask something, to comment, to inquire. you can please go ahead, and if you can't probably raise your hand and say something, you can go ahead and comment in the comment and the chat section. Aisha Nachunga, thank you. I've seen you around. Really, thank you for attending. Aisha Nachunga has something to say, and I think it's your time. Please, Aisha, go ahead and say something. Please introduce yourself and tell us who you are, then go ahead and tell us what you'd like to talk about. Then we'll get back to Derek. Derek has he has raised his hand. Let's have Aisha go first and then Derek. Yes, Aisha. I do not know if I'm audible to Aisha. Please kindly unmute yourself and try to be audible. I do not know if someone else is hearing Aisha.
Good evening, team. Can you hear me right now?
Yes. Yes, Aisha, we do get you clearly and loud.
Hello.
Go. Yes, Aisha, go ahead. You're very clear and loud.
Thank you so much, the team Octagon that organized this webinar. I just wanted to have a conclusive word regarding what our facilitators have been discussing this evening, just to talk about the benefits of early retirement and planning early, so that we're always on the same goal and we achieve the best. Many people out there didn't get a chance to have a financial literacy added onto their goals and objectives. But at the end of that day, if you have managed to get a chance to get a feel of financial literacy, understand what is supposed to happen tomorrow, you'd rather start plan now for your early retirement. Normally under early retirement planning, there are so many advantages and benefits, things to do with the flexibility and the choice of investment appraisals that you would want to do. You may have a variety of them. Think about them today, and then you have a right to choose without any pressure, because you have not yet attained the middle age where you're under pressure, you're in a financial crisis, and you want to plan. Then we also have better investment opportunities. You're able to look around, speak to the different financial literacy organizers, and choose the best organizer who can be in position with you and give you the very best out there. There are tax benefits and incentives in all these arrangements. If you have enough time and you're not rushing, you'll be able to speak out to the literacy teams, and then they will be in position to tell you the better benefits that are out there and the incentives that you may have. There's also the ability to withstand life uncertainties. We all understand that if you're not in position to save and begin your early retirement now, you're likely to have uncertainties in life at the end of that day because you didn't plan very well. That is the time when we look at things like job loss, illnesses, family obligations, things come, everything will come at a go. And because you're not in position to listen to what the financial literacy advisors were telling you, you find yourself in problems. Then it also creates peace of mind at the end of that day. If you're able to listen to these teams, you create peace of mind for yourself, for your family, because you're going to plan now and then be able to smile in your retirement. Let's all listen and understand what Octagon is telling us to do now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Really, thank you so very much. I can see Tumwesije Derek's hand up. Yes, Derek, please go ahead and mute yourself and submit what you have to say.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you so much, everyone. And I really want to thank you so much for this informative kind of session you're having this evening. I really want to really urge you to not only use this platform. I know we have a number of platforms where we can pass out this information to the big audience. Yeah. We have the TVs, we have the radios, we have that can attract a bigger scope. So I would just want to urge you, the facilitators, to at least go as far as using those mentioned platforms. That is one. Then two, from a family and reproductive perspective, my question will be, what role does family planning play in determining retirement goals and financial security? Because personally, I would think retirement planning and family planning are like 5 and 6. Yeah, so I really want you to enlighten me about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you for that question, and thank you for your comment. We appreciate it, and we will take the feedback positively. Darius or Owen, anyone taking up this question and addressing Derek's question?
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Aisha, for your commentaries and addition in terms of retirement, and also Derek. The comments, we take them, and we really need to scale this kind of conversation to all other platforms that members can reach out to as many members as possible. This being our first conversation. Yeah, Derek, I don't know that your background is health, but I think you're on sport. You know, right away from the Bible, the Bible they said, "Go and fill the world," and the commandment that we had was to go and produce and fill the world. But over time, the world by that time, I'm sure there was Adam and Eve. It was still big for them, for the two, who they did a good job of going and filling the world, and there were many expansions. And as you've seen, I think recent I've been seeing how many billions of people that are in the world, and also considering in Africa, over time there's competition for resources. So historically, you find our great grandfathers used to have a huge chunk of land, and you would produce as many children as possible as you can, and definitely be able to, even if you don't have resources to feed them. Some others go to school, others even who don't school become successful because the resources are there. As we continue growing the resources, the population increase, that means of course there is demand for the little resources that you have. So in other countries, you find even you're born in an apartment, you're going to live in an apartment, and you die in an apartment. They even don't have where to bury. That's why probably others have decided to fermenting, because they don't have where to bury. But for us, we still have a chance where you can bury somewhere, Komaja, even take in the village, but others don't have the villages. So with that kind of conversation, you find there's a lot of demand on the population, and that warrants that if you can only produce as many children as possible if you have the resources. But if you don't have the resources, then you're bound to create that vicious circle of poverty. That the people that you're bringing into this world, fulfilling God's command, you're unable to sustain them, unable to take care of them, and then that vicious circle continues, and they are just living on the mercy of the road and the prayers. But if you know your good plans, I think nowadays is what we call planned kids. People have planned them. They know that I'm going to have 4 children. I have this person who's going to have this kind of property. This one will have. They have even properties before they were born. For those who are on social media, I think you could have seen of recent there was a musician who was getting married in Nigeria, and one of the guests was telling them that even the children that they will have next year, they already have the plan for them. So you can see if resources are there, you can plan for everything. But if it's not there, then definitely you live on the prayers. So I think it's very important to sit down and evaluate yourself. Do I need to have one child? If I have 10, will I take care of them? It goes back to self, really discipline and self-evaluation. But definitely, if you can continue fulfilling God's command.
Okay, thank you so much, Darius, for responding. Maybe just to add on for our colleague Derek, for this case, I can actually notice that it is reproduction versus retirement planning. At this era, I think people are looking at planned eras, planned kids, planned grandparents, planned everything. So I think Darius is only trying to say that as long as you have prepared properly for your retirement and your resources are available, you can go ahead and consider as many children as you would like to have. Maybe to just add on, I think I've come across Octagon Uganda Limited is some of the products. There is a center your product service that is offered. There, I would recommend Eric to also read about it. That could actually be a good guidance to your question. I don't think I can't see any other hand up. So we will. Okay, Derek, your hand is up again. I think we'll be doing this last. It's already half. Yes, Derek.
Yeah. Okay. I really want to thank Darius and Brenda for their opinion about my question. And actually, you rightly brought it up well. And the reason as why I brought it up, I just wanted really to tickle the people on their call because when you look at family planning and now the topical discussion we are on, you really see them. Okay, they are interlinked. Yeah.
Mm.
So me personally, I would advise you people to at least blend such messages with Reproductive Health Uganda. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. I think maybe Derek, you need to share with us your number so that we can have a further conversation. I think you have great ideas on how we can reach out to many people and we continue spreading this gospel. And I think we'll be able to partner together. And yeah, I think our vision, maybe that with Tim didn't share it, is to impact lives. And anything that impacts lives, for sure, would want to associate with it. And we are great to partner with the teams and your colleagues that you can refer to. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, I think Derek is okay with the sharing his contact. We'll do a follow up on that one. Lastly, maybe let's have our closing. Before we get to our closing remarks, Darius, your last message to the listeners and the people out there, because I understand these people will be sharing the information that we have discussed all through this meeting or this webinar with other people. They will have to inform them at least one or two things that they've picked from here. Your last message that you would give out to anyone out there, and then Owen will also do the same, and we'll have it closed, if it's okay, or any other business to add on. Hello. Yes, Darius or Owen, who is going? Okay, Owen, you can go first. Sorry, you can go first, Owen. Give us your closing remarks in relation with retirement planning, starting early, retiring better, and then we can briefly, and then we get to Darius and have it concluded.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda, and thank you everyone on call. I'll start by appreciating everyone that managed to join in the call. It has been informative, and just to reiterate that the information is available. There are examples that can be followed. There are mistakes that can be corrected as we plan for retirement, regardless of the stage. Out of the 5 stages that I pointed out, wherever an individual is, there is something that can always be done to turn around to ensure that that the individual has a decent retirement. So it's just to note that the information is available and there is need to heed and follow and practice. Because then if there are savings, let's try them out. We've heard of examples, people are investing in unit trusts. As an individual, are you investing there? You are missing out on the benefits that others are investing in. If you've heard of circles, you're not a member of any, you need to join. We've mentioned of individual pension plans. You need to think about them at this time so that you don't miss out on the benefits that others are getting as they plan for their retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Owen. Yes, we all have to understand we all in our old age, we will need all the benefits that whoever does that retirement planning achieves. So let's consider the retirement benefits as we do retirement planning. Yes, Darius, for your final remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda, for moderating this. You've been a fantastic moderator. And really, we would also want to appreciate our maiden people who have joined today for our maiden as well webinar. I think it has been fantastic. I've seen some people who logged in even before I logged in, and they have stayed here until the end of the conversation. It really means a lot to us and our side as we reach out to you. Our job really is to ensure that we bring information close to you. Next time we are going to extend our invitation. Don't get tired of our conversation. We believe on our side that's how we are designed to impact lives and also to change your lives. We know 1 or 2 things we'll be able to reach out to as many people as possible in the way we preach this kind of conversation for retirement. Thank you very much, members who have logged in and you've sustained all this conversation to the end. On our side, we appreciate and we look forward to having more conversation in future. Thank you very much and have a blessed evening. I think for Derek, if you don't mind, you could share your number on this, let me send the email, and you can send the email uganda@octagonafrica.com, and if you don't mind, you can also share it in the group. But I'm going to share it. So you can send us an email, then we'll be able to have your email, and then we can continue with the conversation going forward. Thank you very much, the team who have been logged in for this evening discussion.